Hello and welcome to People Human Rights, People Human Rights 2020.com. I am Olga. This is our 14th video and it is about the sterilization of the world. So, we all know the evil forces, they want to sterilize everything that God has created, and they want to all to sterilize the human being and all creation, plants, etc. But the human being is their principal target, and they want to eliminate the human being. So we understand why the children, the human children, are their first target through pedocriminality and through education. So they attack from everywhere. But first, we will start to make an adjustment on about what people think or what it is said about the towns of Sodom and Gomorrah. So I will read those verses which are in Genesis 18 verses 20 to 23 and Genesis 19 verse 1 to 29. Let's read. Then the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin is so grievous, that I will go down and see if what they had done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." The men turned away and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, "Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there were 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will you not judge all the earth? Will not the judge of all the earth do right?" The Lord said, "If I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Then Abraham spoke up again. "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of the righteous is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the city for lack of 5 people? If I find 45 there," he said, "I will not destroy it." Once again he spoke to him. "What if only 40 are found there?" He said, "For the sake of 40, I will not do it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak. What if only 30 can be found there?" He answered, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." Abraham said, "Now that I have been so bold to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found there?" He said, "For the sake of 20, I will not destroy it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there?" He answered, "For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it." When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. So now, Genesis 19, verse 1 to 29. The two angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down, with his face to the ground. "My lord," he said, "please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning." "No," they answered, "we will spend the night in the square." But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and ate. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, "Where are the two men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them." Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, "No, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have two daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof." "Get out of our way," they replied. "This fellow came here as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge. We'll treat you worse than them." They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside the angels reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so that they could not find the door. The two men said to Lot, "Do you have anyone else here, sons-in-law, daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry to the Lord against its people is so great that he had sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out to speak to his sons-in-law, who were pledged to marry his daughters. He said, "Hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city." But his son-in-law thought he was joking. With the coming of the dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife and your two daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished." When he hesitated, the man grasped his hand and the hand of his wife and of his two daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives. Don't look back. Don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away." But Lot said to them, "No, my lords, please. Your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I can't flee to the mountain. This disaster will overtake me, and I die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared." He said to him, "Very well, I will grant this request to you. I will now overthrow the town you speak of." "I will not overthrow the town you speak of." I repeat again. He said to him, "Very well, I will grant this request too. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it." That is why the town was called Zoar. By the time Lot reached Zoar, the sun has risen over the land. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, destroying all those living in the cities, and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down towards Sodom and Gomorrah, towards all the land of the plain, and he saw dense smoke rising from the land, like smoke from a furnace. So when God destroyed the city of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the cities where Lot has lived. Okay. Voilà. So you can also read Genesis 20. Okay. So Genesis 18 verse 20 says, the outcry against this city is great. So when men cry out to the Lord, it's because they are mistreated, because people are very evil against them. That's why they cry out to the Lord. And regarding that, we can read some other verses about the crying to the Lord. Mm-hmm. For example, we can read the book of Enoch. 1 Enoch 8, the last verse, and 1 Enoch 9, verses 1 to 3. So, and as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said one to another, the earth made without inhabitant cries the voice of their cryings up to the gates of heaven. And now, to you, the holy ones of heaven, the soul of men make their suit, saying, bring our cause before the Most High. So we can also read Exodus 3, verse 7. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. We can also read this last one, Psalm 34, verse 17. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their trouble. Okay, so it is because of the cries of the innocents that God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. And because he found, except Lot, no one he didn't find 10 people who were right in this place. Yeah, because God is merciful. When he has his children somewhere, the others around them can benefit a little, because God, if God wants to protect his child, he will protect him. So, but if he had found only 10 people that were righteous in Sodom and Gomorrah, he would not have destroyed this city. Though there was homosexuals people, though there was criminal, etc. So it's not only because of homosexuality that God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. It was because of the crimes they were committed. They attack everyone. They do bad to people. Even the strangers who comes into the town are not safe. So when we read Isaiah 13, verse 19, Isaiah 13, verse 19, you can read that. And Babylon, the jewel of kingdoms, the pride and glory of Babylonian, will be overthrown by God like Sodom and Gomorrah. Which means that Babylon is like Sodom and Gomorrah. Everything related to Babylon, that was the same thing that was occurring in Sodom and Gomorrah. They were evildoers. They did bad things. They did crimes. And people were suffering so much that they cried to the Lord. Like when you pray and you say, "Oh Lord, help." It's not about homosexuality, though it has been, it's not only about homosexuality. Homosexuality has been used, but God listened to the suffering of his people. If someone suffers and cries out to God, then God listens. So, if people were complaining about that town, everyone who enters there is not even safe. You see, there was such a big cry toward the Lord because people were suffering. Okay, so now, yeah, even they wanted to attack Lot's guests, but they did that with the wrong person. They were angels. They wanted to do that with the wrong persons, because Lot's guests were angels. So they appeared like human, but they were angels sent by God. Imagine it was Holy Michael and Holy Gabriel who wanted to visit Lot, to see what is happening actually in Sodom and Gomorrah. And the people of the town wanted to behave like that with them, So they want to sodomize Holy Michael. Eh? That's what they wanted to do. They did that with the wrong people. This is a matter of seconds. And the angels, poor angels, had even to wait till the morning, till Lot can go out from the town before destroying the town. Okay, so though God says many places in the Bible and in the Holy Scriptures that it doesn't appreciate homosexuality, but Christian faith says that Jesus has come to show the way to sinners. And there's not only, if you consider homosexuality as a sin, it's not only homosexuality which is a sin. Okay, you can find some sins or big category of sins in the 10 Commandments. They are not all respected. Okay, so now I'm going to speak about something. Yeah, so between the homosexual, there are some people who make the choice of homosexuality, yeah, because they are deprived people. They do that because they want to have money to, because they worship the demons, or because they, some of them uses the sex and with do sex, have sex with many other people, or some criminals who, but because of their notoriety, they are high in the society, and they hide behind their title to commit crimes. Yeah, so it's not about all those people, of those evil people, or those evil who homosexual that I am talking, that I will talk, that I will defend. No, it's not them. I'm speaking about those other. There are some homosexuals who they don't do bad things to other people. They don't hurt other people, but their nature lead them to homosexuality. And there are other people who who becomes homosexual because life didn't allow them anything else. So being homosexual, in fact, is something like a condition. It's physiologic. Enfin, in some cases, yeah, most of the people, it's physiologic. They can't do anything about that. We don't say to someone who is, for example, someone who is ill, "Oh, why are you ill?" Or we don't hurt with a stick or something someone who has a disability because we don't like his disability. No, we're not doing that. So we put some, we give him some help so that they can reduce the disability, or even get healed of that disability. There are other cases like kind of spells. the spells. You because even between heterosexual people, there are people can send spells over them for in how can I say, in love, for the people, the person to love them. So this happened as well for someone homosexual who wants to be with someone and who wants to use his spiritual kind of power to overtake the person. There's spell of enfin bon, I'm not speaking about all this. There are those evilness, evil tactics, evil practices to take someone's heart or voilà. So, and the thing is that conversion therapies are very awful, traumatizing, and humiliating, and they don't change anything to the sexual orientation, because it's something which is physiologic, Also, we have all those programmation eugenics who are done through drinks, through food, or what they put in the industry, or through medications. Who like even paracetamol. There are a lot of sayings about paracetamol. Who all those practice who makes, for example, men who become more, who feminize the man, or who through the mother who takes the baby can now have a hormone, all his hormone wrong in his body, the male babies are not really strong on that side, and with all these medications, vaccine, everything they put in water, in the air, etc., more and more people are going to have hormonal problems. And there are also the GMOs, genetically modified organisms. The plant they transformed, the plants without seeds. We suppose, for example, if a plant is just an example which is not based on something, it's just for me to be understood. Is there's a plant, for example, God created that plant with 80% of caffeine, for example. With the GMOs treatments, the plants has now only 20% of caffeine. Now, if a human being eats that plant, it's not the same force, the same power, the same qualities as God has created. no, it's sterilization of the world, as I was saying. So we need to take care of plants and of pharmacopy, and most of all of the plants of the human motherland, because people want to overtake it. They they say they have license over the plants. First, the plants which are not in their countries, then the plants that the people of the human motherland use since thousands of years. That yeah, they say they have find this or found it. So don't even bother taking any consideration to those licenses. They are wrong. They have been wrongly allowed to them. Yeah, but they want to take it over it, some organization, and so that you can't use them to defend yourself, to heal yourself from all they want to do against you, from all they put in your bodies, etc. So, but go and make your own researches about how many suicides occurs in the gay homosexual community, because even all is not reported. Even in the human motherlands also, there are young people who commit suicide. And well, I'm not saying that every suicide is about homosexuality, but sometimes you don't know why some children just they committed suicide. And when you are a young man or young girl, teenager, and for whatsoever reason you are attracted by a person of the same sex, I've already spoken about some reasons about. So, but everywhere you are, you feel hatred, you so they are hurt, very hurt in their heart, and some of them, many of them, they can't speak to their parents. They know their parents' thoughts. They maybe don't want the parent to put them out of the house. And how a parent can put his own child out of his house, and because he is homosexual. So the things you don't want, then you put him outside so that he can become that completely. Some of them, they don't have medical care. They say they are not allowed medical care. Can you imagine that? So every time they hear, oh, you are evil, God doesn't like you, as if someone knows who God loves. You need to die. sometimes they are violently attacked. Some of them, people kill them. It's something incredible. So that young person, they just don't know what to do, and the weakest end up by committing just suicide because there's no need for them. Because they are still young, some of them don't have the capacity to I don't care with. Enfin, it's very bad. And you say to them, God doesn't like you, and you say to them, you need to pray. So should they pray a God who doesn't like them? People, do you think that God hates pedophiles? Many of the priests are pedophiles, and they even dare to go to the altar, and people come and listen to them. So sometimes you are wondering if the pedophile who hurt people and who hurt children, innocent children, are less, they have less problem than homosexual or two homosexual who say they love each other, who doesn't do any harm to anyone. They are just one with another. Because we need to measure the things, between a pedophile who drinks the blood of the child he has abused, he sacrificed the child, and an homosexual who is in couple with another homosexual, and they don't do any harm to anyone. So what is the worst? Which is the worst between all those two cases? So there are so many scandals about pedophilia, and the thing is that even it is when, if you look well, it is when those churches scandals started that the promotion of LGBT also started. So this is just manipulation, and they manipulate people who are already in a kind of difficult situation. And so this is to cover the crimes, to cover pedophilies. They promote homosexuality. They promote homosexual marriage. It's not because they like the homosexual. It's just manipulation, If they love so much the homosexual people, why don't they share their wealth with them? Why don't they, when they want to commit a massacre somewhere to kill people, do they take the homosexual people out before killing everybody? No. Or in their country, why don't they give them free housing, for example, free medical care, free money? Why? Or promote them. So you see that all these promotions by governments, it's not because of the love It's just manipulation. In the USA, they have some states who allows promotion of propaganda of homosexuality, and others states doesn't like LGBTQ movements, but why don't the USA's government uniforms first try to put right this problem in his own country? No, they want to export it to other countries. Who doesn't want those problems? So, and me, I want to ask some question. Why is there no law to marry for the marriage of younger girls? Girls 6 years age which are married. Why is there not a law against that? Why is there not a law against sodomization in a couple, married couple, one man, one woman, and the man sodomizes his wife? Why is there not a law against adultery? The world today is worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. People, even children, kill nowadays. They kill each other. They aggress people. They are violent. And the less of 10 years old, if they begin to have sex now, because that's what they want, through school, teach some wrongdoings to the children. So what should you do then when those cases occur? You will put into prison the children to whom the government permitted to discover and to like sexuality, to practice sex. Or are you going to make movements against your own children? Bible verse John 21 verse 16 to 17 says, when we love God, we need to take care of his sheep, heal those who are ill or wounded, comfort them, guide them on the path. Matthew 9 verse 13 says, Jesus loved them. They are just sad souls because of the treatment they receive. So in any case, it's all about circumstances and the motivation of the heart. It is God who said in the 10 Commandments, do not kill. But it is God who anointed King David to go to war against his enemies. And God was even the chief the chief war for King David, telling him all the strategies. So God cannot punish an innocent who is defending himself. So there are also the story of artificial uterus, which are not correct, because it relates to the extension of humanity, the extension of human being reproduced by woman. But by humans, because human will be created and not reproduced like God decided. So, and even those artificial uterus are strange. How can they make life? Because it's the melanin, which is the molecule of life. So, what is there in those artificial uterus? Where do they find the melanin? And there are a lot of uterus transplants nowadays, which means there are lots of uterus trafficking. There is already stories of uterus trafficking. And so they will make people who are at the same times human and robots. No. A baby who has not come out from a woman's womb cannot be a human. What God decided is how human race is made. So those people will just have human appearance, but will be guided, programmed. But worst of all, they can be immortal because men are mortal. And which kind of spirit can even go inside those artificial uterus? Can those spirits be a heavenly spirit who knows the things of God and how all things must be done? It's like maybe it will be more evil spirits that will be in those artificial uterus. So, and even there is assisted procreation, but how can you be sure that it is actually the woman's egg and the man's spermatozoid that has been used? There are some links on my Telegram canal, PHR1, the number 1. Okay, so how are we going to do then? Because there are 3 points need to work hard against the eugenics, the eugenic people, and also come back to better behavior, good behavior, like in the older time, because in the divine law, the nudity and sex are not exposed, whether it is spiritual or physical. Sex and what goes around is not something that must be visible. When Adam and Eve had sex against God's will, they committed a sin, and they took a leaf to cover themselves. And when God knew about that, he killed a lamb. He took that lamb skin to cover Adam and Eve. So the problems begins when things I'm talking about the right things, of course, become exposed. And that's the problem. It's all the behavior that will need to change, whether you are heterosexual or whether you are homosexual. Each human being needs to come back to a better behavior, because and not expose all this, because this affects the children first. And why should some people be able to expose themselves and the others shouldn't have that right? And in some countries, which I think it is good, those things are not possible. When I was young, when we were young, people of my age, our parents didn't hold hands in public. They didn't kiss each other, enfin, a love kiss in public, or and even those pornography was not allowed, and there was not all those big screens with sex all the time, with beauty, with that. The child who sees that since he's 1 year old, which behavior is he going to develop? Is it the young are the future, which young? How do you educate the young people so that they can be ready for a good future? There was, at our time, there was not prostitutions on the road. You go there, you know that there's a prostitute there. Oh, look at this, is a prostitute. Oh, Lord my God. So all those things makes that the children can't defend themselves because they don't know. They don't know. They just copy the adult. So if it is there all around them, they think it's normal. It's life. You know? So when someone abuses them, they can't even actually know if it is good or if it is right, because they already see that everywhere, even if it's not conscious. It's unconscious, you know? So we need to protect the children a lot. And also, in our time, the children didn't see their parents naked or an adult naked. And sexual education in primary school should be forbidden completely. And you need to educate your children at home. Say to them that no one has the right, your parents, no one has the right to touch them, to touch their sex or their back, or no one has the right to ask him to touch. An adult must not ask the child to touch his private part. If someone tell the child, if someone asks you to do that, you say no, and you come and you say that to me. You say to the child that no one has the right to put his sex against your sex. You try to even from 3 years old, you parents, first you educate your children at home. Of course, if you let the children at school, they will say you say them, even if it is your school teacher who says that, you say no, no, okay? Even you you yourself don't play with your sex. No, even if you like it, even if your teacher says you can touch it, you can feel, don't do that. It's not good. Anyway, anyone can find the way to speak to his children, and in the countries where there are good some countries are good, or it's more the Occidental countries which are everything is completely depraved, and there are other countries in the world where all those doesn't happen or happen less. Yeah, so there the children's services can find a way to stop that, to talk to the children, to educate the children. Maybe from secondary school, you can find, you can introduce sexual education, because, of course, but even well, for the young ladies, not to, well, because they are teenagers already, so be careful not become pregnant for nothing, and just or how teach them how to prevent being abused, being raped, be aware of prostitution. It's all about educating the children and the young people. So, and the young people need also to be helped. They need help, financial help, because when you are poor, you are at the mercy of the evil. When you are poor, it can lead to tragedies sometimes. So, and even you need to check, I think, but there's in the human rights declarations, you don't need to let your child at school if the school starts those evil things. The human rights. So, yes, the Human Rights Declaration, 1948, Article 26-3 says the parents have by priority the right to choose the kind of education to give to their children. So you don't need to leave your children at home. You don't need to leave your children at school. You can do your child education at home. Use tutors. Well, of course, have an eye on the tutors. But parents can group themselves and put their effort together and give education to their children. All you need is on the internet, and anyhow, when people educate, they have diplomas and they don't find a job, what is the need? So of course your child needs to be educated to know how to read, to write, etc. But the skills, you can find many after, when they are 18 or something like that. It's fine to make them do training, a good training, not university training who will take you 10 years and you come out with nothing and no job. So parents need to think about all this. Okay, so parents need to stand up for their children, really. Okay, so this video has come to an end. So see you at the next video.